So helpful immutable tools. Object.freeze, deep freeze. We have ESLint plugin, immutable, immutable.js, Ramda.js. We'll talk about these in a little bit. So object.freeze, it's a method that freezes an object. It's exactly what it sounds like. So it's not like ES6 or ES2015 when you say const and you're like, oh, it's immutable now, you can't change it. That's not immutability. You just can't change the value of that variable, but you can change the properties on that variable, so you're not immutable. Object.freeze actually freezes it and prevents you from overriding its properties and whatnot. It's very similar if you were to use object.define property and you said that this property is unassignable or not. It's very similar to that. You're freezing the entire object, you're locking it. So this is really great tool to use for testing. So if you wanted to enforce immutability, you were not using a library and you wrote immutability in your own app and you wanted some way to test it and keep everybody else on the team using immutability, then object.freeze is a great tool for that. Defreeze is object.freeze recursively. Exactly what it sounds like. All right, who sits there and just comes up with this stuff, right? Like, I'm gonna call this defreeze, and like, somebody's gonna come up with one and like, this is like below zero. Like,
Sub-zero defreeze.
Sub-zero. Like, ESLint plugin immutable. I haven't used this one yet. Lucas put me onto it. It's a plugin that will disable all mutation in JavaScript. So it's just a linter plugin that will light up like, yo, you're changing stuff, you know, fix that. So I haven't checked it out yet, but if it works, it sounds pretty cool.
And this next slide is a quote, if you'll actually go to it.
Okay.
All right, so if you go to the GitHub page for this, Jaffer has a really good quote about, do you think this is too restrictive? And so actually, I'm not gonna read this entire thing, but if you'll go to the next slide, I've modified it. So this is Lucas and Scott's version of this. You can actually see us on the bottom. We are the Miami Vice of Angular 2. I don't know why he likes that white suit so much. Totally kidding. But there's a really good just explanation of that we should not be mutating state in our components because NGRX maintains mutable pointers to our state that we can work with. And so at your convenience, go ahead and just check out this ESLint plugin that he wrote, but also do read that paragraph. I thought it was really well said and apropos for what we're doing here.
What Lucas said. Cool, so Immutable.js. It's a library. Oh, that was it, sorry. It's a library. Immutable.js and Ramda.js, they're just libraries made by the community. Immutable.js is made by Facebook, and honestly, I heard pretty good things about it. It's supposed to be pretty rad. Yeah, there's a different API you have to learn of how to use it. It's not just, you know, regular objects and arrays. You have to use getters and setters and other stuff. But it's supposed to be truly amazing. They use things like trees, or I guess it's pronounced tree. I don't know how you pronounce that word, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So they use shared data structures to enforce immutability and have like speed performance boost and stuff like that. So that's Immutable.js. Ramda.js is another good one. So like I said, I recommend just doing it manually first to get used to it. And then like, if you're just like, okay, I got it, then move over to a library. Or if you're on a big team and like, you just can't keep up with, you just can't trust other people, like use a library.